At WePlay, we have a really cheerful and playful atmosphere here. I get a chance to teach a lot of young beginners and help them have their first experience really creating something that they can be proud of.
WePlay Music is awesome because the teachers are nice, fun, and everything is like peaceful and friendly here.
My teacher is very kind and patient with me. I like performing in front of other people because they get to hear the story and the piece that I'm playing.
Everything is social here. I like the atmosphere and WePlay Music.
My daughter enjoys coming to class each week. It's an academic setting, and the instructors are very much about striving for excellence, but at the same time, they know how to have fun. It just feels like one big family.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Wesley. I'm one of the piano teachers here and assistant director. Thank you for joining us for this masterclass this morning, February 27th, 9 a.m. I know we're all excited to get started, so without further ado, I'd like to introduce a close friend, colleague, and one of the master teachers here at WePlay Music, Dr. Joshua Vigran.
Hello, everyone. So I'm very excited to get started. I believe the first performance we're going to hear is Beethoven. As Wesley said, I'm going to try to leave a little bit of time at the end in case anyone has some questions. But let's go ahead and jump right into it. Tyler Tran, are you on?
Yes.
Hi, Tyler. Okay, great. So everyone, Tyler is playing a Beethoven piece, the Sonatina in F major, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So whenever you're ready, Tyler. Nice, great job, great playing. All right, so that was the first movement of the Sonatina. Let's see. So starting at the beginning, this is marked Allegro assai. There were a lot of great things you did, a lot of energy, and I heard differences between the fortes and the pianos, a lot of really good phrasing things. Some of the details, or one general thing that I think could improve the piece would be a little bit more of a difference between your right hand and your left hand. So, and knowing which one has the main melody. So, could you play the first couple lines of this piece one more time? Good. Okay, great. So the I'm gonna try to screen share this. Let's see. All right. So here we have forte and piano. What I want to focus on a little bit is this left hand. And I think we can get a little bit better of a balance. So I heard this loud and clear, the melody line. Even when it's forte, you still want to bring out the melody line a little bit more than the left hand. So the balance will be... So that's the first thing. And this, the second thing is in the left hand here, you have this repeated C over and over. And usually when you have repeated notes like this, you want to minimize the repeated note and play more of the da 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 da. So it sounds something like... So can I hear you play just the left hand in those two sections, please? So starting left hand here. I'm sorry, without the right hand. So just left hand. Okay, good, good. So that was good. But again, remember we're talking about the balance here. So if this is I know it's marked forte. The forte is more for the melody though. Could you play this more like maybe mezzo piano-ish? Right, and then here we bring out the
Yeah.
good, good.
Yeah.
All right. So now can you try adding with what we did, both hands, just keeping in mind that balance of a little less left hand. Very good, very good. Okay. Yes, I'm sorry. You can keep going. All right. Now here we have a new element introduced, or this is the first time that we have these staccatos, right? I think your staccato can be even shorter, even quicker. Would you say, what do you think the mood of this piece is?
Cheerful?
It's pretty cheerful, right? Yeah, it's in a major key. It's not a lot of tension. So a lot of times when you or so really try to bring out those bump 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 bumpy. I'm thinking in orchestra of when string players might pluck their strings. We call it pizzicato. So how about you try the right hand starting at this G, and then when you get to these, just very short, quick staccatos. Can you try that in just the right hand?
Oh.
Yeah, just right hand for now. Good, keep going. Yes. Very good, very good. All right. Now there's a tiny little detail, but you see how these are slurred in two notes. So it's interesting. Rather than doing this, it's... Do you see the small difference? It's not ya da 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 da, but dee da dee da da. So what I do is I play ba-dum, ba-dum, just a little bit of a lift. Da 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 da. Can you try that?
Yeah.
Yes. And it happens, so just be aware of where it happens. It happens here, here, and it also happens here, right?
Yep.
And so are you familiar with the word sequence? Do you know what a sequence is?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is an example of a sequence, right? Because we have a pattern. And what's happening to this pattern?
It's repeating.
It's repeating, and is it getting higher or lower?
Higher.
Higher, yes. And it looks like it goes from piano to forte. So let's try doing this section. So what I was doing there is each time when you have this repeated pattern, if you can just bring it out a little more. So piano, a little more, and then you're at forte, and each time beat up bum. So could you start here on the piano? Okay, very nice, very nice. Good. So as you see these sequences, not just in this piece, but generally in music, you can ask yourself, is it growing? Is it should it be less the next time? In this case, it works really well because it's going from piano to forte. Now, could you start right here? Can you see my mouse? This okay. Now, that was really good. I heard all the dynamics and everything. We're closing in on the ending of this first section, so so it's written piano, and in the classical era, they didn't always write everything that you would do. So just because it's piano doesn't mean you can't do a little bit of shading and shaping inside of here. So I liked what you did for the cadence. It kind of ends here, right? I'm thinking that it might be pretty effective if you separate this left hand just a little bit. So rather than, it could be just a little bit of space. Again, if it was orchestra, it might be cellos like bum 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 bum. Yes. Yeah. So it's not too legato. I wouldn't play it too legato, but bum 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 bum. Can you try that? Yes. All right. So yes. So think of it as each one distinct. Bum 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 bum, and then this starting here, you have a chromatic scale, and it's like this is leading into the new section. So what I would do is I would drop way down, and then you can kind of do a little bit of a crescendo, and it will sound something like just so that it's not as abrupt getting to the forte. Do you see what I mean? Yeah. So can you start here at this piano? When you get to here, drop down. Good. And then now we're back at forte. So can you keep going? All right. Very nice. Very nice. So now we have some new musical material, especially beginning around here. And I feel like this is a little bit more lyrical section. So I might, because like you said, everything is really happy and kind of joyful through this. All of a sudden, it's almost like you're thinking about something. So you can play, if you make it very legato, very smooth, it changes the character. It's a little more interesting. Can you try? Yeah, just go ahead and start out this phrase here. All right, very nice. Very nice. And then we're back here at something more related to the earlier material. If you notice, remember those little slurs I was talking about before? Da, 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 dum. They happen here as well. So it's something that you can pay attention to as well. Right. So it's a little change, but when you play all of them together, it makes a big difference. Now, at this section, unlike the previous section, we have another sequence. But does this go up or does this go down?
Go down.
Yes. So the first one is this. And then it drops. Right? So whereas the first time you kind of grew, maybe it might work to, over the course of this phrase, if you sort of diminuendo slowly, and that will also make this crescendo really effective, right? Because if you're too loud, once you get to here, then it's not really much of a crescendo. So if you play, and then, wait, can you listen for a second, Tyler? So listen to this phrase here. So, and try to see if you can hear what I'm doing with the dynamics. Right? So now we're all of a sudden back at forte. So could you try doing that, dropping here, and then really bring out that crescendo so when you get to C major, it's really bright. Right, decrescendo. Right, nice. So the more in music, especially in this type of classical music, the more we can bring out different characters, the more interesting it becomes. So sometimes that works with sequences when you see them descending or getting more serious. All right. Okay, so we stopped here. Can you keep playing from this section here? Okay, very nice, very nice. So, great start to the forte. And I would try to keep this energy moving forward until probably about here, because what happens here? You have this, you have this, you have this. What is that? It's another sequence, right?
Yeah.
Right. So it's just a bunch of series of sequences. This one's moving upwards, this one's moving downwards. So when you start here, try to really make this kind of arch shape. So could you try one more time at the forte and keep it moving, keep it growing, even until here. This is the high point of that phrase. And then it starts to diminuendo. This one's less, this one's less, finally piano, okay?
Okay.
So could you try one more time starting here? At this place. One more time. Yeah, one more time from the same place. Very nice. Very nice. Good. Yes, and I heard that was much more of a gradual diminuendo. And what it does when you do this very successfully, it leaves people in suspense. So right? Because this is unfinished. So make sure you make a good use of this rest here. And then it starts to continue. All right. Can you keep going? All right, great ending. I like it, has a lot of energy. Last thing I'm going to say is just this dolce sweetly. This is the last time in the piece that you have this kind of lyrical moment. So try to make it. So really, really super legato, and then it just builds and builds, and you already ended it great. So just even more legato, even more smooth here. I think it would be really good. All right. Do you have any questions about this?
No.
No? Great job, Tyler. Thank you so much for sharing. All right. Let's see. The next person we have is going to be Charles Miao playing Kuhlau. Are you here, Charles?
Yeah.
Cool. Let me get up this music. All right. So you're playing the Kuhlau, the third one, right?
Yeah.
The third one, and it is the last movement, the Allegro burlesco.
Yeah.
All right, I can't see you. Is there a way you could start your video?
It's already on.
Oh, there you are. Okay, great. All right, whenever you're ready, you can go ahead. All right, great job. Really, really good playing. And so, do you know what this means? The marking at the beginning, it says Allegro burlesco. Do you know what that means?
No.
Yeah, so this is actually, I had to look it up because it's not a common word. The burlesco, it's like a joking manner. And actually, I think you got a really good, you played that really well, had a lot of really forward energy. Your scales and everything looks very fluid. So I don't have much to say about that, but where I do think it could be a little, um, just some of the details could bring out a little more of the character of the piece. So a couple things in this score. I'm actually probably going to work a little bit backwards. Hold on one second. Let's see. So let me screen share this so I can show where I am. All right. So one of the things towards the end that I noticed has to do with maybe a little bit too much pedal, which sometimes got in the way of the staccatos. So let's see. What's a good place to start? How about starting right here? Hold on. Let me get my. Okay. Could you start here? Where this after your long, that really long chromatic scale. All right, very nice. So this is, yeah, so this is one place where I feel like the pedal is it's getting in the way of the staccatos. So it's hard to it's hard to play with my head turned like this. The But if you could hear, I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to build the sound here. But could you build it without too much pedal? Because then it keeps more intensity that way as well, rather than getting a little blurry. So one more time, just with a little bit less of the pedal. Right. Okay. So that was already better. So the places you can add pedal, I would say, are probably right at the very first beats. So where you have these accents, pedal off, pedal off, pedal off, because by doing a really short pedal, you can get the sound up, which is what you want, but then it doesn't hold through and blur the line. So so I'm basically pedaling here, here, just for these notes. Does that make sense? That way it doesn't cover it up. And then here the same, just a little bit of pedal, but you do want to hear these. Otherwise, it loses the character. So can you try that one more time with that kind of pedaling? It's better. It's better. Even just a little bit shorter. And when you listen back to yourself, you can make sure that, especially these ones, the ones that are not accented, are really short and quick. Okay. All right. Let's look at some other sections. All right. Now let's see if you can find where I am. After all these downward scales, you have this. Do you see where this is in the music? So I'm starting right here. Yes, very good. Now in the left hand, also this Kuhlau was pretty detailed in what he wrote. So there's a tenuto here and a staccato here, and it happens each time. So if you heard what I was telling Tyler in the last piece about sequences, this is another example of a sequence. You have what I could hear a little more of is the staccato at the end. Dun, dee, da, da, bum, bum, dee, da, dum, bum. Can you play just your right hand in that section? Nice, nice, nice. Okay. One other thing. In this scale moving upwards, you have accent, piano, crescendo. It started a little bit loud, so I think, again, we're coming out of this huge section where you just played all these scales. So if you can dip down, dun, da, dee, da, 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 dun, 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 and then back down again to piano. So it's like a fake crescendo. You think it's gonna, That's what you expect, but it happens. Okay. So could you try that in the right hand crescendoing? Very nice, very nice. Good. So those details do a lot to add. And if you notice, here's yet another sequence. Ba ba-dum, ba ba-dum, ba ba-dum, dee da-dum. And these also have the staccatos at the end. So yeah. Yes, and also with piano and crescendo. So each one just getting gradually louder and louder. And that's the ending. Can you play that one more time? Just really try to pace that crescendo as best you can. Nice. Okay. Let's see. Let's look at a new section now. All right, that's towards the beginning. Okay. How about, can you start here with both hands? So from this section, and then a little bit of these 16th notes. All right. Great rhythm and everything. The so like what I mentioned before, you have a forte here, and very popular in classical music to have this type of a crescendo and a sudden drop. Those are really effective if you can, and then it just drops down. So this word, do you know what this word means? Leggero?
Yeah.
What does it mean?
Like together.
Usually means lightly. So even though it's mezzo forte, you want to keep this light sound. So again, if you do the crescendo, then it's you're expecting it to go to this huge thing, and it just kind of drops down. So can you try that one more time? So the goal from here is to have a big crescendo, and then you change direction at the last minute. If you could, yeah, I'm sorry. Can you actually back up a little further just to get into that this place? Right. And I think I would drop even a little bit more, because even though it says mezzo forte, it does say light. And keep in mind, you have to crescendo here, more crescendo here, più means more, and then get to forte. So I think starting this phrase can probably start even lighter, because you have to go all the way to here, and you don't want to max out here. You want to get to forte here, right? So can you start right on this, just a little bit lighter? Very nice, very nice. Now, where we just stopped is one of the more dramatic sections. It's forte. You have and then you have that scale. So make sure that here in the right hand, you have these rests. I think the first time I heard it, I could hear the right hand kind of staying through when the left hand was playing. So could you start right on this? Very nice, very nice. Yes, and if you it actually makes everything sound much more, how do I say, much more like sure and certain of itself when you do something like lift. Again, if it was an orchestra, da 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 dee 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 da bum, da 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 dee 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 da dum. So yeah. Otherwise, it sounds softer and more melodic, but I don't think this is really melodic, right? This is like a intense moment. So one more time, and keep going through that scale if you would. Yes. All right. Now, here's just a little trick that can be used in a lot of places. We had più crescendo, we had forte, and this is really big. He wants you to crescendo all the way to fortissimo. So what might help is just dropping down. So here, and then after you drop in volume, then you can start this crescendo, and it's and then you hit this forte. That's probably one of the high points of the whole piece. So let's try starting here. What is that? Just the E major scale? Yeah. Okay. So if you could start on this note and just focus on the really linear. Yes. I'm sorry. Can you play the scale one more time? One thing I might suggest, because it's fortissimo and you want this note to be really big, you can try playing it with the left hand. So because it's easier to get that really sharp note at the top. And then it's something that you might want to try. Can you try that? So it's the top here. Do you see what I did? Just to get as much as you can out of that high E note, because your pinky can only play so much, right? Can you try that? There you go. That, I mean, it just helps to really bring out that that crescendo. All right. From that note, can you keep going from there? Nice. That's good. I'm sorry, can I see you play it one more time? And I might have an idea for this. Yes, keep going, keep going. Okay, so just another idea and the same thought. Just to get these sharper, you could do right, left, right, left, right, left. I think it's a little easier than trying to roll to the pinky and then go down, and you get more sound. Could you try? Yes, and then you go on with the piece. So you don't have to do it, but I when I see sections like that, a lot of times I like to just bring my left hand in because you can. It's so easy. All right. Can you go ahead from that section? All right. Do you know what this means when you see this?
Oh, you first do a round note and the next note you do a quart note?
Yes. I didn't really hear that. Could you bring that out more? The contrast? All right, very nice. That was better. That was better. And then we have more of that extremes. Piano, piano, forte, piano, crescendo to forte, right? So really big difference between maybe start at the same place at this so this the one that I'm missing most is this forte here. So can that be brought out? No, I'm sorry, different section. It's let's see. So from here, do you see where I am? Yes. What's going to bring it out more too is the left hand. So could you play just the left hand of this and bring up forte, piano? Yes. Okay, good. Oh, I'm sorry. The piano starts here. But yes, the contrast between the piano and the forte. And then piano. Forte. Yes. Nice. So just trying to find all of those places where you can make as much contrast as possible will really bring the piece to life. Okay, let's see if we can go to a new section now. All right, let's actually just keep going from there. So can you start? All right, that was great. Good scale. This piano, I feel like could have also had more contrast. And really try to keep it piano. He writes piano and then he writes it again, I think because he doesn't want you to grow yet until you see this, and then the crescendo gets much louder. All right, so can you try from here? Oh, piano, piano, piano. No, so you can play less than that. Yes, keep it piano. Yeah, very nice. And in your chromatic scale, as much as possible, try to it's legato here, so almost blur the notes in these types of sections, because it creates this big kind of sound. So so like, can you hear the difference between this? That's the first one, and then second one. So the second one was more connected and like trying to connect the fingers as much as possible. Can you try that on the scale? Yeah, good. So that will help. Okay, so do you have any questions about this piece before? No? All right, yeah, it's great playing. Just try to remember those few things. So we talked a little bit about the pedaling, making sure that doesn't get in the way of the staccatos. And then try to look through the piece and those forte pianos, loud, soft, loud, soft, loud, soft. You want to keep the audience guessing, like they don't know what happens next, because that's really exciting, right? All right, so great playing. Thank you so much for sharing. I think our next student is, let me check. Weibo Zhang, playing Chopin. right, great job. A lot of really good things. What I liked about it, there's a lot of fluidity, and I could hear the start of what I would say is some good rubato, so some movement, and it wasn't too metronomic, so it had a flow to it. A couple things that one overall comment that I would have through the whole piece is be careful with your pedal, kind of like I was saying on the Kuhlau, but for different reasons, because it's a very different character. So the temptation in this piece is to just keep the pedal down and hold it down, because you have this pedal point in that low F. But I think probably a better approach for this is to, the pedal is not either on or off. There's gradations of the pedal. So I would try to find some space in between where it's still engaging, but not like all the way 100%, because it starts to get, the sound grows and grows. It gets a little bit, a little muddy. All right, so that's sort of throughout. Let's see, where could we start? Yeah, let's just go ahead and start at the beginning, and I'm gonna go ahead and stop you a couple lines in. Right, that was already better. And then I would look for places where the phrase closes out. So for instance, after this C is held, it's almost like there's a new start. So that 4 measures. So the shape of the phrase is kind of like this. It grows, and then it kind of comes back down. So you can ease off the pedal, and then it creates sort of a new beginning. Otherwise, I'm not quite sure where the phrase starts and where it ends. Could you go ahead and try that, and then keep going? Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Go on. I just had a thought, but keep playing. Nice. So that it's almost like we have I believe 4 phrases. The first one is the first 4. Then the second phrase. And then a repeat, right? And then again, 4th phrase. So as you go through this piece, to keep it from sounding too much the same, try to think about how are you going to place those 4 phrases and what's going to be different between them. So, so for example, the first one, I like how you play this. He says con forza in there. Do you see this? Do you know what that means?
No. I guess with force, motion.
With force, yes, good guess, good guess. So with force, so you want a little bit of maybe a little bit more energy than you played there. So but you see when this phrase comes back, so measure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. In measure 9, it's a repeat of the phrase. He does not write con forza, and he says sempre legatissimo, sotto voce. So Chopin is very, he's very specific. So make sure you go through the piece and you know what these mean, because it will give you a clue as to how to play it. So the sotto voce, do you know what that means?
More subdued and quiet.
Yes, literally it means speaking voice. So what I would do is sometimes I practice these phrases out of order. So you know how there's 4 of the phrases? I would practice this phrase 1 and 3, just back to back. So for instance, this is the first time, and then I would skip the second phrase and I would go. Try to get them to sound different. Can you try that? Actually, don't even worry about. Just for now, just play what I did, like the bass note, more the right hand focus for now. Forza, bum bum bum. Yes. So with force there. Good. Now skip the next phrase and go to where it repeats and try to make it sound different. Sotto voce, speaking. That was a beautiful tone. Can you do exactly that, but not lose the momentum? Yes, very nice. It was still just a little bit slower, so we're not going for slower necessarily. We're going for just a different tone. Okay, now and then I would practice the same thing for the second and the fourth phrases. And then I would skip to the fourth and try. You see how in the second phrase he crescendos? So can you play phrases 2 and 4 and try to get them to sound different? Yes, very nice. Okay, so that was a good crescendo in regards to the pedaling right there. There's a retard, and that in the right hand there's an 8th rest. So make sure by that point of the rest it's cleared the sound. That's a point that needs to be clear. And then it kind of keeps going. Okay. So that's the opening. Then it goes into. Could you start there? All right, very good. Now, even more than before, you're going to have to give a little bit more pedal lifts because the bass line is moving. So before, the bass line is all F, right? F for the entire first page. Now it's moving down. You have right? So whenever you step down chromatically or by whole step, whatever it is, it should have a little bit more clarity. Can you try that one more time? Right, clear. Very good. Keep going, keep going. Clear. All right, nice, nice. So again, a lot of information he puts in this piece. Sempre stretto e più forte. Do you know what those mean?
So no, I don't.
Sempre stretto, in this case, it's always accelerating or gaining in momentum and more forte. All right, so as you get to this phrase, it's really driving to that downbeat where you have the, what is that, A double flat? Okay, so could you start at this piano phrase? And make that as your goal, that downbeat. You can,
Let me find out
wanna...
a few sheet music real quick.
Yeah. If it helps you to back up to, you could also back up to a phrase. Yes, yes, but don't back off at the last second. That was great. You had a crescendo and then it just went nowhere. Really, really drive into the downbeat. So that was good. Okay.
Can you specify what you mean by downbeat?
Yes. So I mean, as you go. What I heard was more like.
Oh yeah, I see.
It just kind of, the crescendo, it didn't go over the cliff. Like it stopped right at the edge. So okay, now could you start right there? That section. Nice. What are you using for your fingering? Can I see you play just right hand there? Okay, one suggestion I would have for fingering is try to do 1-4, 1-5, because so here on the D flat I would do 4, 1-4, 1 5, and then 5 on the F flat, 4. It just helps to get a little more connection between the notes. Yes. And then as you have these, and then here, this where it reaches forte, 4 5 4. Yes. Can you play the whole line one more time? In the right hand? B flat. So it's B flat, C, D flat. Yes, but definitely there I wouldn't use 5 5 5 because it's accelerating. He writes accelerando, so you want to play it pretty quickly, and so can you see my hands here? Yeah, yeah, and that's gonna help you really get to the top of that phrase.
So like alternating 1 4 1 5 1 4.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Exactly. All right, can we keep going? All right. Now it's pretty good, but it's missing it's pianissimo forte appassionata, pianissimo forte, pianissimo poco rallentando. So my point is, make sure you go through the score and look at all. He just has so many things he writes, and it helps you know exactly what to do. So really, really, really maximize the difference between the fortissimo and the piano. Your left hand is really good though, because I'm able to hear, which is really nice. Just again in here in this section, making sure that the pedal is not held through because it got a little bit muddy there. Can you, let's see. All right, can you keep going to where it starts the recap?
What measure? What measure?
This, I don't have measure numbers, but it's after all the...
Oh, okay.
And then it goes back. Nice. So remember at the beginning I was talking about comparing the phrases 1 and 3, 2 and 4. Now we're back at the recap. So it's very, very similar to original material, but it's not the same. So again, as you compare those, like 1 and 3, also compare it to the recap, because here he writes sempre agitato, It's a different crescendo, and then he has octaves here which say con forza. So in your own time you can go and compare those. Now where we stopped is the first place where it all of a sudden switches to major. So you want to make sure that that's a really important harmonic moment in what's happening. And it's it's very dramatic. Like for just one short moment, you think it's going to be kind of bright and happy because it's major, but then it just keeps building the drama. So pacing this is going to be important, because you have, and then it goes up sequence, and then right. So that whole entire section needs to be planned out as far as, you know, how are you going to rise and dip back down and then ultimately reach this where he writes forzando. Okay, does that make sense? So could you try from here? So I would grow a little bit, dip back down, and then grow more, and then this kind of thing where it just kind of gradually goes more. Okay, very nice, very nice. That was better. It had more of a sense of the drama. So the pacing, as you work on it, can get even more of this rushing to the top, where he says, always more crescendo and accelerando to here, and then it has to drop down to nothing because he has piano and sottovoce. So it's like. All right, so huge shifts in character, very, very Chopin thing to do. Could you start and by the way, that's a section where I would also definitely shift from 4 to 5, 4 to 5, because it's very legato, so you want to connect as much as possible.
Where do I play?
From and drop. Yeah, sudden drop there. Okay, very nice. At the very end, SMRZ. Do you know what that means? Smorzan. It's short for smorzando, which means dying away, which you kind of intuitively did, which is nice. But he does write it earlier, so again, just be aware of that. I feel like you slow down a little too quickly. Maybe just save it for those last two measures, and so you don't completely lose momentum. Right? So it just kind of gradual slow down like in a car. All right, really nice job. Is there any other questions you have about this? All right, great playing. Just some things to think about. Thanks for sharing. All right, so the last student is Alex playing the Krebs Gigue. Okay, very nice job. Now, let me screen share this so I can point to a couple different things.
Oh.
All right. Can you see this?
Yes.
All right. Let me. Okay, so first off, do you know what a gigue is?
Well, the classical piece?
Yes. Well, so actually, it's predates classical. It's more of a Baroque movement, and it's interesting because
oh,
it says
Baroque.
Krebs lived and composed in the classical era, but it's very much in a Baroque style of something that Bach might have done. And it did you one interesting thing is there's no dynamic markings throughout, right? Is that how your sheet music looks as well?
Yes, I think so.
Right. And so the reason it probably has no dynamic markings, it was likely written for the harpsichord, which didn't have the capability that the piano does of dynamics. So a gigue is, you might have heard the word jig, Jig. It's
No.
related. It's like a Irish or English dance. So it's a dance. It's really lively. So what I like about your playing, it was very fluid. You played very relaxed, all the right rhythms and notes and everything. But knowing that it's a jig and it's that kind of dance, I feel like it's going to need a bit more energy. So partly a bit more speed, and then more light and quick notes. So it's not really.
Yeah, I just.
But even if I was playing at that speed, so I know it takes time to build speed, but if I played it at, you can still give it light and momentum without without speeding it up. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay. So with that in mind, can you play the first couple lines one more time and just really try to have more of a light da 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 da. That's the rhythm.
All right.
Already better. Already a lot better. Okay, now the fact that it does not have any dynamic markings does not mean that we shouldn't play them, because well, one, because we can, and two, because if it was played by other instruments, they certainly would add dynamics. So one of the things you want to be aware of are repeats. So this phrase here, let me get my this phrase here is repeated here, right? So you don't want to do it exactly the same way. And this is the cool thing about playing music that's like in a Baroque style, is it gives you a lot of freedom to make those decisions on should the first time be louder or softer. If you listen to like Bach and you listen to 5 different pianists, you're going to hear 5 different versions of what they think it should be. But what you don't want is for all to sound the same. So let's try one more time. Keep that same energy. That was great. Maybe less the second time, or maybe more. In fact, let's try it both ways. So let's try first more and then less. Could you try that? Now less. Yes, keep going, and now the second time a little less. Good. Now, if you choose to do that, just be sure that when you play softer, you don't lose the articulation. Softer doesn't mean that it all of a sudden becomes really legato necessarily. So you can Do you see what I mean?
Yes.
Can you try that one more time? Excellent. So now just to compare and contrast, this is what I would do in practice. Let's try it exactly the opposite way. So the first time less and the second time more. Can you try it that way?
Okay.
Okay. Do you have a preference as to which one you like better?
Well, the second one.
I'm sorry?
The second one, which
The second one? That's
Which
kind of my instinct too. So as you go through this piece, you can look for those places where you have the repeats, exactly like the same material, and make a decision. How do you want to change it? You just try out different things. Okay, can we keep going?
Okay.
Okay, very nice, very nice. I think you're kind of also instinctively doing this a little bit, but it's a long upward scale, right? So that probably means you're going to want to generally increase the dynamic. The one thing that I think will help to have more of that rhythm I'm talking about is in your left hand. So he specifically writes these little rests in each time. So I mean, you're kind of playing that value, but if you give a little sharper of a lift, it'll sound more alive rather than. Can you try starting here?
Well, I need to start from the
You can
beginning.
back up if you want. Yes. Okay. Good. So what it sounded like to me is like it was building in momentum, and then as it got higher, it kind of peaked. It peaked, and then it started to do this. If you can really keep the phrase moving all the way to the top. So, like I was saying, in your left hand. I know it sounds really basic. It's just all I'm saying is just make a gradual crescendo all the way, but it's very effective if you make sure that you continue it all the way through the phrase. Okay.
Okay.
Can you try that one more time? Yes, very good. Keep it going. Okay, now that was good. When you get to measure 9, now we have something new. So we have E, 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 E. What do you know what this is called when we have like a continuous bass in music?
No.
It's called a pedal point, where it's not changing. Until there. So it's what it's doing is it's building suspense, right? Until it resolves. So we just did a big crescendo. Probably, and again, different people might do this differently, but what I think might work is if you dip down at measure 9 and then crescendo again to build that tension. So it'd be something like and then you're back. I know I'm playing it a little faster, but just so you can hear the whole shape of it. All right. So can you try that one more time? Exactly what you did with the crescendo, and then once you hit those E's, dip, and then crescendo back. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Can you try? Very nice. All of a sudden it sounds much more lively, like someone might actually want to get up and dance. So that's what you want it to sound like there. Let's see. All right, you have another case of that here. Can I hear you start? I don't know where's a good place to start for you. Maybe, could you start here?
Okay.
Okay, nice. Now, this is
My computer does not have any battery left.
okay. All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, so where we just ended, there's a double bar line, which means that's the end of the first section. Stylistically, it's in this type of piece, it's usually okay if you do a little bit of a ritardando. Not too much, but just a little bit so that we know we closed out a major section and we're about to go to a new section, okay?
Yes.
So could you one more time play through this, and when you get here, just a little bit of a...
Okay.
Yeah, and then it moves straight forward. Just something to point out here. This is another case where, at least for this first two beats, you're repeating. So like we talked about before, you don't want to do the same dynamic. You can do more, you can do less. Maybe... but something different there, okay? So just be aware of that. All right, now can we look at the second section?
Okay. Do I play it?
Yes. Okay, very nice. Now, remember I was telling you this is probably written for harpsichord, which didn't have dynamics, but even they would want to have some changes in articulation and things. And this is a little clue, because here you have all of these, which are, they're written as dotted quarter notes, unlike what he did before, where...
Oh, yes.
Do you see the difference? So the first time he wants you to do this, but here he wants you to connect. Okay, so I would probably take that as a clue and play this whole section more legato. And then you're back to a more... Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. So can you try one more time from the double bar?
Okay.
Nice. Yeah, that was very good. So so just think, anytime you see a section of music which is very different from the others, try to bring out those differences, as I said, even when there's no indication. But maybe even more legato wouldn't hurt. And then it goes back to the main material, so it's back to light and dancey. So can you start at this recap here? Yeah, yeah. And then it's a question of whether or not you want to do the same thing that you did in the first part or something different. Like I said, with Baroque music, it's kind of fun because you get to make those decisions. So a lot of times I'll try to do the exact opposite of what I did the first time, or I'll do what I did the first time, but like if the first time I played piano and forte, then I would play piano and forte, like even more difference. So can you try that one more time? And just try to make a huge, very obvious difference between the repeat of the statement.
Okay.
Another option, and these are all just different ways of doing it. But instead of louder and softer, you can think of shorter or more connected. For instance, I could do. So I kept basically the same volume, but the first one I played more staccato, the second one I played more legato. Do you want to try that?
Sure.
Nice, nice. Okay, can you keep going?
I need to start over.
Right, that second time is different than the first. Yes, all right. And usually, again, since it's a gigue, it probably should end on a more strong, more forte, and just a little bit, which you kind of did, but you want to make sure that towards the end, you keep building to this forte. So a pretty solid ending. Okay, now from 27 to 31, it's similar, but not exactly the same to what happened here, right?
Yes.
So in the first time, it's just getting higher and higher and higher and higher all the time. In the second time,
It goes back a little.
It goes up, then it goes down, then it goes up, then it goes down, then it's going different directions. So with your dynamics, maybe you could make the dynamics fit that. but whatever you do, it shouldn't be too flat.
Okay.
So some peaks and valleys in the sound. Do you want to try that from here? Yes, very nice. Let's see. I'm trying to see what this little note is from. Oh, it's for the trill. Yeah, your trill was good. All right, now can we try without repeats, just going now. You can go through the whole thing one more time, but just keep in mind differences of sound, right? It doesn't have to be right or wrong, but as you go through different sections, try to make us hear, oh yeah, this is crescendo, this is diminuendo. Sometimes I'm like, I'm not sure if he's growing or coming down. So could you try playing the piece one more time and just bring out those differences? All right, that was already a lot better. So really nice work. Yeah, as you keep working on this piece, just try to ask yourself, what can I do to make it more interesting, or what can I do to make things sound different and engaging for the audience, okay?
Okay.
Any questions about it?
No.
All right, and from the audience, if there's any questions in the chat or anything, otherwise, I'll just give a second to see if anyone has anything.
No objection.
All right, doesn't look like it. Hopefully
council.
that means I was clear and people weren't falling asleep. All right, really great job, Alex, and great job, everyone. It was really fun getting to teach you all. I hope you learned something. A lot of these principles that I talked about can be used in different pieces. So things like pedaling, things like dynamics. You'll find as you learn more music that there's common ground in a lot of pieces. Okay. All right. Thank you, Alex. Thanks, everyone.